Hey, so I keep seeing people asking questions about Freemasonry and what it is and who do they worship. Now, I'm not a Mason myself, but I've observed their ritual and I know what they're about. I know more than most Freemasons know about Freemasonry. So, I'm going to tell you about it. First and foremost, unless you're a 33rd degree Freemason, or at least in the 30s, up in those degrees, you're what's known as a useful idiot. And that's not my wording, that's what the top Freemasons call them. You'll notice these fellas on Reddit and YouTube, whenever the topic of Freemasonry comes up, they rush to its defense. And they'll tell you, it's just an old man's club. It's just a charity club. It's a club for old men to drink whiskey and smoke cigars and complain about the world. That's what happened my first day. I went in and there was just old guys sitting around talking about women's issues. Yeah, ye all have the same story, you fucking idiots. Because that's their trick. It's a carny thing. It's to lure you in. So up until you're in the 30 degrees of Freemasonry, you're what's called a useful idiot. You're something to show off, like a dog. Oh, look at this young man, all his power and all his vigor and all his, he's here, one of us, we got him too. You're something to show off. You're something to put out on charity events. Some pretty young fella with a, bright future. So that they can pat themselves on the back about how manipulative and brilliant they are trapping the light. But that's what they do. You're a useful idiot. That's what they call you. So these guys that all rush to the comments and have the exact same story about what Freemasonry is, they don't know their arse from their elbow. They know nothing. Because they're not in the 30 degree plus. They're pawns. They're tools. They're no different than a shovel in the shed. But they don't know it. So they'll tell you it's charity work and it's this and it's that. Bullshit. Because the bottom line is, in order to become a 30 degree or 33rd degree Freemason, you have to accept Kronos, the god of time and wealth, as your god. And there is no other way around that. And on top of that, if you really want to succeed, if you really want to taste the finer things in life, young man, you know what else you got to do? You have to accept a hitchhiker. Not just any kind of hitchhiker, a spiritual hitchhiker, one with scales and a fucking tail. Because if you're going to taste the finer things, food, drink, champagne, women, ooh, well, why you? Why should you get to do all that? In exchange for that power, you should have to share. And that's the word they use, share. They love that word. They love perverting pureness and good things like that. But that is the truth about Freemasonry. And anyone who tells you otherwise is full of bullshit. Because look, their rituals. I forgot to mention the ritual, right? If you want to be a high up Freemason, there is a ritual that they partake in. I don't know if it's every year. I think it might be. Or maybe it's every 3 or something. Or maybe it's every certain moon. I don't know. But guess what they get you to do? Remember, this is young men. The younger the better for some reason. The younger the better. But they get them to submit their seed. Their seed. They all submit their seed. It's poured into a big pot, a big cauldron kind of thing. And it's boiled. And the smell is disgusting. It's sickeningly sweet. It's disgusting. But this is somehow used as some kind of tribute or some way of summoning these reptiles. But there we go, under 5 minutes, and there's the absolute truth about Freemasonry. Anyone who's under a 33rd degree Freemason and tells you otherwise doesn't know anything about it. They're a tool, a useful idiot. Anyone above it, well, they're keeping a secret, aren't they? They're doing what they're supposed to do. But that's Freemasonry. That's what it is. It is a cult. It is a trick. It is a lure, a poison. It is a form of satanic worship. And they're everywhere. These signs they do, this thing that represents a reptilian mouth, a snake's mouth, all of that. It's all the same shit, guys. It's all the same shit that's right in front of your faces. But there you go.